Hi folks, welcome back. So this is the first of a series of videos on some essential techniques from my point of view anyway for better painting and for beautiful paintings really at the end of the day. If you want to create something that really makes you sing, then let me give you a few tips. First things first, this first one is all about the advantage of limited palette, and I've been using limited palette for many years now. When I say limited palette, I mean probably no more than 4 colours on the palette at any one time. So in this instance, with the seascape I'm about to show you, that is alizarin crimson, which is a very deep red, titanium white, burnt umber, and in this instance cobalt blue. I'll often substitute cobalt for Prussian blue dependent on the state of the sea, but also from the point of view of the time of day. But the advantage of the cobalt often gives you a warmer blue. So anyway, without further ado, let's turn the camera around and you can have a look at what I'm working on. Apologies for the reflections. That's the light in the studio. So this is a seascape that I'm working on for a client in America, and the overall colours are there, as I mentioned, with the sky being a mixture of the, in this instance, the cobalt blue, the titanium white, and the alizarin crimson. Now, it's all about how much you mix, or rather how many, sorry, my apologies, what amount of each colour you add. There's a lot of white, and anybody that's seen my work will know that I go through quite a lot of white, but there is a lot of white in there, and I tend to start with the white. And with this being an oil painting, I'm using the Alkyds by Winsor & Newton, and I'm adding also things like Liquin, which is another Winsor & Newton product, which is a flow agent. It's also a drying agent, so that helps to speed things up a little bit. So, to talk about the limited palette, again, we talked about the sky, but then if we talk about the harmonization of colour, and this is something I'm going to come to in the next video, if you look at the colour of this sky, the dark area of this sky, you see that that is very much the same as that. And this is where you get these wonderful balances with a limited palette. When we come to the rocks down here, where they're very dark, that is cobalt blue and burnt umber mixed together, almost neat. Little bit of liquid added, and we will get these wonderful variations in colour, which you never get with black. And as some of you already know, I don't use black. See another video in the collection for how to mix black without using black. If we look to the lightest areas, again, it's the burnt umber, it's white, it's a tiny amount of the blue as well. And the reality is that everything out there in the landscape reflects light. So the light of the sky will be reflected in the sea, and even in the mountains, and rather in the rocks and so on and so forth themselves. So think about that. Think about how you limit what goes on the palette and mixing things carefully, and test to one side. That makes a massive difference. I always test out to the very edge of a picture, and it makes a huge difference. So hopefully that's given you some ideas, and we'll move on shortly with talking about harmonization of colour. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.